This is Dr. Andrew Jones. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to show you how to give medication to your dog. Hi you guys, welcome again back to my channel. This is sort of the middle of September. We're well into what feels like fall to me. Other areas of the world, not so much. But during this time, when it is back to school, I'm very much sort of getting back onto some form of schedule. As far as how it applies to you and your dogs or your cats, it really has me thinking about, teaching you some sort of basic veterinary skills, going back to the principles, like where do you start with? So today's video is partly inspired by a former client asking some questions around how do I give certain things to their dog. So what I want to do is show you how to give 5 very common things that can be used in a whole of the number of different remedies that I discussed, like how you can actually properly give those to your dog. So first of all, just being able to properly give any form of tablet. This here's one is quercetin. It's a flavonoid found in apple peel. It's one that I often suggest using for allergies. I'm going to show you how to, if this as an example of an average sized tablet, how you'd be giving that to your dog. One, I do occasionally treat Lewis with this because he occasionally has sort of flare-ups in his groin. So I'm not just doing it for demonstration, I'm also doing it to help him. Come here, Lewis. So the big thing one is, if you're going to be giving any type of tablet to your dog, is I want you to be able to open their lower mouth and their jaw, and I want you to be able to put that tablet to the base of their tongue and actually push it down from the base of their tongue. And I try to get so you can actually see it in the video here. So if I'm going to give anything to Lewis, I open his mouth, I'll put it right at the base of his tongue, then push right there. Not giving him a chance to spit that out. But the big thing, one, if you open your dog's mouth, I usually use my left hand to open his lower jaw. I'll put my finger straight in the base of his tongue and then just put the tablet right there and then push it straight down. First of all, your dog won't bite you anytime you put your hand in their mouth. They don't bite. I've never been bitten by a dog in veterinary practice by doing that. Secondly, too, you just put it part of the way in. So many times our dogs just spit it out, so you're not getting that medication into them. 3, in some dogs you can sort of disguise that, say it's a bit of canned food. That's fine, so long as your dog actually consumes it and doesn't spit it out. But for the most part, anytime in practice I'm medicating or treating any dog or cat, I'm putting that tablet right at the base of their tongue and pushing it straight in. They'll swallow it, and then I know it's consumed. The second one I'm going to discuss is homeopathy, or how to give a homeopathic tablet. That appear to be sort of sun mottled, as occasionally the sun's coming out, so it's hitting me at sometimes. So this one here is arnica. It's arnica 30C. So it's probably one of the most common homeopathics that I've discussed. It's sort of one of the first ones anytime you think of any type of injury, shock, pain that you'd be using for your dog or for your cat. A couple big points about the homeopathics is, one, it's thought that they have energies. You want to sort of handle them minimally. 2, you don't need to have your dog or cat swallow them. We just want you to be able to put it just under their lips, just under their tongue, and have it slowly broken down. If they do swallow it, so be it. So here's an example, where I'm just going to put a few in my hand here. So I think you should be able to see the 2 of them there. I think you can see that in the video, between the sun dappledness. And for an example, if we're using Lewis again, he's got arthritis. Once again, he can definitely benefit from these homeopathics. Just lifting up his lower lip, dropping it inside the pouch of his cheek. There, Lewis. And just sort of sit with him. You don't want him to spit it out. Ideally, you've minimally handled it, and you're going to let that slowly be broken down. Good boy, Lewis. If your dog is one to spit anything out right away, you may need to put it down his throat. Similar how I just did with the quercetin pill, put it right at the base of his tongue. There, Lewis. How to give some of the herbal tinctures. A number of the different remedies that I discuss involve the herbal tinctures. This one here is a very common one. It's the Dandelion tincture. It's a combination of the roots and the leaves. It's got a number of different potential benefits in terms of aiding your dog if they needed some form of diuretic to get rid of fluid, as an alternative to Lasix. If we're trying to treat for instance, underlying heart disease, as well too. And the root itself has a number of different medicinal properties. Primarily, we think of it for digestion, for liver disease. Now we're seeing huge benefits. We're seeing it used for people with cancer, so also our dogs with cancer. In terms of the extract itself, most of them have an alcohol base. You can also get ones that aren't alcohol based, they're glycerin based. Definitely is much better for our smaller dogs, our cats. But in terms of how to give it to your dog, for instance, a pretty standard sort of tincture dose is about 1 ml per 40 or 50 pounds of body weight twice daily. I'm just going to dose Lewis with a half a ml of this. I'm giving him the Dandelion as an example in the video, primarily because the Dandelion, this is a combination of root and leaves. It's very nutrient dense. It really is very nutritionally beneficial for Lewis. Here's an example. You can see the tincture, they're marked out. So right there, that's the half a ml, that's up to a ml. So this is just about actually that's 3/4 of a ml. Let's drop that down. Now I think you can see it. There's the half a ml mark. So now I've got the right mark. So I'm just going to give him a half a ml. If I was dosing him for something therapeutically, such as he's got, say, pulmonary edema, fluid in his lungs, I would be giving him 2 of those mils once or twice daily. It's sort of as needed. Anytime we're using the diuretics, we're trying to dose them enough to treat the symptoms, say, for instance, the coughing fluid at night. And that's what I did with my last dog, Jessie. So it's enough of a dose as frequently as needed. But as an example, I'm just going to show you how to give a half a ml to Lewis. And once again, I just draw that up in my little vial here. And the dropper vial, I'm just going to open Lewis's mouth. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get it just above his tongue again and right into the back of his throat. You don't, once again, you do it at the base of his mouth, at the base of his tongue, not high up. You want to make sure secondary too, you're not touching his mouth to contaminate the dropper, and then it can be put back in to the herbal tincture bottle. Thank God Lewis is a patient dog. A couple more things. One, this is lactotone. It's a hairball remedy. It's primarily petroleum jelly based. If I were to give it to a dog, primarily I'd be looking at a dog that's partly constipated and we're trying to move that stool through in a fairly easy way. And something that's easy for you to give at home that's very safe to your dog. So once again, if you were to use it, typically I just put a squirt. I usually do about an inch or so on the end of my finger, as I've got there. And, a pretty standard dose is sort of about an inch of that for every 40 or 50 pounds of body weight. So Lewis get 2 squirts of these, but let's just show you once again how to do it. And then I'm just going to open his mouth. Oh boy, Lewis. Just put it at the base of his tongue. It's flavored, won't do him any harm. And as you can see, well, Lewis consumes that pretty well. Thank you, Lewis. Good boy. Now the last thing I wanted to show you is how to do a liquid. And what I've done is just bring up a herbal tea. So this is one which really, if anything, it's fluid that I'm giving to Lewis. But this is actually a chamomile tea. So if we've got our pets, our dogs in particular, that have upset stomachs, maybe they got some anxiety, chamomile is a great one. First of all, a tea just to have on hand for yourself, but also for your dogs. And what I've done is just brew it up. It's about a cup of tea with 1 tea bag. You want to let it steep for about 10 minutes, then let it cool. Cool enough, so just dip your finger in it, make sure it's not too hot. So it's warm, not cold. And typically I'll dose it at about a tablespoon of the tea for sort of 10 to 20 pounds of body weight. So a tablespoon is about 15 ml. So something like Lewis, I would be giving him, 3 or 4 tablespoons. It's about 60 mils. But I'm just showing you an example here. Oops, as I spill the fluid everywhere. God, it's the one thing about videos, they don't always turn out. So I'm going to draw it up. This is a 30 ml syringe. So this is 2 tablespoons of tea. Let's maybe I think I'm going to drop about half of that so I don't squirt it all over the couch and the floor. So there's 15 mils right there. So that's 1 tablespoon. So you can see here, clear. It's a marker. First of all, it's just a good idea for you guys to have some of these syringes on hand. And it's just an easy way as opposed to just scooping out a tablespoon. And then if I'm going to give it to Lewis once again, I'm just going to make sure I tilt his head back, his head up, open his lower jaw, and then just squirt that in right at the base of his tongue. Go for it, Lewis. Big thing when you are going to be giving any type of fluid to your dog or your cat is do it slowly, not a whole bunch at once, and give them time to slowly swallow it so they don't end up gagging on it in the first place. Thank you guys for watching this edition of How to Give Medication to Your Dog. If you've yet to do so, I encourage you to subscribe. You can do that by clicking that link in the box above. Then you can go ahead, click that link in the box below. I can send you my free books and videos on how to heal your dogs at home with my top natural remedies.